We're here with Katie Schumacher. She's the head coach for the women's volleyball team at Penn State, and they just won the volleyball championships. She's the first female coach to win the volleyball championship. What accomplishment! And I'm also here with Gabe Jaramillo. He has coached superstar tennis players such as Agassi and Nishikori and Seles, 11 number ones in total. So I'm proud to be here accompanied by these great coaches. And thank you for joining Winning Voices. Katie, I was looking forward to talking to you, and Gabe, congratulations on such a great accomplishment. I know you're also battling cancer. You have been an example and inspiration to a lot of women. And I learned that not only have you been a high performance volleyball player, but also basketball player. So I wonder, what did a high school day look like for you, having competed at that type of level?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I have really supportive parents that um, you know, I can only go if my homework was done and if I was doing well in school. So, they made sure that my focus was always doing the best I can in school. But no, I went to a phenomenal high school in Chicago and was fortunate enough to play on really great teams there by, really great coaches and um I was able to play some USA volleyball and AAU basketball and was able to, travel the world. So I'm very lucky that I had those experiences as a young kid, to be able to be where I'm at today.
I'm going to call you coach because I know how difficult it is to be a coach and what it takes to be a coach. So, coach, I know we're talking about when you were in high school and the opportunity to see the world is something that a lot of people that probably are listening to us right now don't understand the advantages that you have as a young person to be able to see the world. Uh, what countries did you visit back then when you were young?
Yeah, when I was well, I got to go to Brazil with USA Volleyball and playing a tournament there. And I think for me it was just to experience different cultures and a different way of life. And um, from there I got to attend the Olympics in Atlanta with USA Volleyball to kind of observe and meet new people um and then obviously moving on to college, I was able, we went to Cuba and played. And just this past year, I brought my team from Penn State. We went to Slovenia, Italy, and Greece. And I was so happy for, I had players that had never been out of the country. And so to be with them and to experience, just that travel and different cultures was something that I know they'll take with them forever. So I think anytime you can travel and, my children got to come with me and they're 14, 13, and 10. And for them to experience that, I'm so happy that I'm able to have them with me. And, those are memories of a lifetime for them.
As athletes and being in the sport, we get to travel so much. It's such a great opportunity. When I played the tennis tour, I also got to travel all over the world. It really provides us that great experience.
Coach, why volleyball and basketball? Why not tennis, for example?
You know what? I wish I played tennis. I really do. I really do. I never, growing up at our park, we would play just to mess around, but I never played on a team. My youngest actually, she goes to tennis camps here at Penn State and she loves it. Um, so maybe I can send her down to you. But I wish I would have played tennis. I love watching, I'll tell you that. And no, I think playing volleyball and basketball consumed most of my life. And that's kind of, where I was at or what I was exposed to. I had some older cousins that I looked up to, and they were playing volleyball and basketball. So it was kind of, I was led in that direction.
Did your parents had anything to do with it?
My parents, oh yeah, I mean, my parents are, um, my dad played football at Michigan.
Oh.
So I grew up in a athletic family. My brother played football at Illinois. But yeah, my parents, they paved the way. We grew up and we all went to private school, and so my parents worked really hard to send us to very good schools and to, set us up for life and the direction that we were going in. But my parents were, wanted us to have the best experience, but to be able to take care of ourselves and handle our schoolwork, because, that's the way you get into college these days, and you have to be able to do those things. So, I'm grateful for my parents and what they did and how they were able to, I have two brothers and a sister, so there were four of us, and my parents worked very hard to provide great education for us and to put us in the position to play sports and to, do that travel.
I really think that sports provide a lot of benefits for the parents also, not only for the children, but for the parents.
Mm.
I mean, the sports teaches a lot of values, discipline,
Absolutely.
perseverance, hard
Yeah.
work.
How to
So
be a great teammate,
how to be
how
a
to put yourself in that position. And, I went and played sports because I loved it. My parents didn't come to a ton of my events because they were working. I think that's a little bit different in today's world, where I think, parents are at every single event they can be at for their children. And so I learned to play because I loved playing and I wanted to be on the team. So,
and going back to, after you finish high school, why did you decide to go to Penn State? How did you get recruited? Did you work for it? Did they look for you? How does it work in that process? Just for people that are listening, they don't know how the process goes. How does it go?
yeah, well, I mean, back in that day, it was, coaches would come see you at tournaments, you would get letters in the mail, you would get invited to go to their camps.
You're next.
But I went to Penn State because I wanted to play in the Big Ten, one, and two, growing up in Chicago, a Midwest kid, the Big Ten, that's kind of all we knew. But I played on a USA event, and at the time, Erin Appleman is her name. She was an assistant coach here at Penn State, and I really liked her. And she's now the head coach at Yale, but I really liked her, and she, convinced me to take a visit to Penn State, and I did, and I absolutely loved it. I didn't visit too many schools. I visited Michigan, Notre Dame, and Penn State. Those were the three schools I looked at, and I absolutely fell in love with Penn State's campus, the program. Obviously, Russ Rose was the head coach at the time, and he had been the coach here for 43 years. And, fortunately, I played for him. I got to coach with him, and then stay here after that. But, I think I enjoyed the atmosphere. I liked the people a lot. And here I am back at Penn State. So it definitely holds a special place in my heart. So,
Absolutely, part of
Yeah,
your life.
yeah.
yeah.
What a great journey. And so having played for basketball team and the volleyball team, um, which experience did you enjoy more? I'm sure you enjoyed both, but tell me a little bit about the difference.
Well, in college, I did basketball was at the end of my career, and they needed some more players, and I was always playing at the intramural building and playing in just pickup games, and I was friends with all the girls on the team, and their roster was pretty light the first year, and so I was asked to play, and it was a great experience. Like it was totally different than volleyball, and both coaches were world renowned, Renee Portland. She's since passed away, but everyone knew who she was, and she was a remarkable coach and a tough coach. Um, and I just enjoyed totally two different atmospheres of coaching and philosophies, and but the cultures were the same in terms of that, at Penn State they wanted to win and they were super competitive, and I think they put you in the best position here to be successful as an athlete.
From
And
playing intramurals to playing the Sweet Six to be part of the Sweet 16, that's a big jump.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean it's I mean, yeah, I mean I was fortunate enough, even when I played basketball here, I was on really good teams and committed players and dedicated players, and the same thing with volleyball. It was a really special time in my life, and I really enjoyed it. And I feel grateful for those things because not too many people can do that.
No, no, I'm playing for two very different sports in a way. You
Yeah.
know, the commitment has to be very, very strong, and it's not easy to. People don't understand how difficult it is to train, to study, to be able to do your homework. It takes a lot of dedication and discipline to do that.
Yeah.
How are you able to do all that?
Well, both coaches were committed to it. So in the spring season, after I played, I played fall volleyball, and then the spring season, volleyball is training. I did not do any volleyball training in the spring. I went right to basketball. So I basically jumped right into basketball, and
Oh,
um, it took me a bit to get going in there in terms of, a lot of the running, but I just enjoy competing and enjoy, testing myself and seeing what we can do. And it was yeah, it was a commitment by both teams though. I did miss out on some volleyball, but they understood that this was such a great adventure for me to try, and everyone was really supportive.
You have two coaches there. I bet you they have a little bit different philosophy. Which one? What do you learn from each one of them? Well, one thing specifically that you learn from each one of them,
Oh
the basketball
gosh.
coach and the volleyball coach.
Well, I will say that they both were tough coaches, and tough, I mean, they
Demanding.
cared they cared about their athletes, and I understood that. I think when you're younger, you think, oh, they're just hard on me. They're just hard on me. But no, they actually really do care about you. And I understood that at a young age. So I think, yeah, the level of commitment by, both of them, the expectations were so high. And, they were super similar in those ways. I think I had known my volleyball coach a little bit longer and could be more funny joking with him,
That's
where the
good.
basketball coach I wasn't. I didn't know her as long. Um, but she was equally supportive and caring of her players. So
So that's interesting that you said the most important thing is that you really felt that they care about the players.
yeah, they
Uh,
pushed they pushed us to be the best we could.
yeah.
And yeah, some days was really hard, and some days you would complain, but you would come back the next day and your coaches were there and they had your back and just wanted what was best for you. And it's a special place when you have coaches like that in your life.
if I look at both sports, I think volleyball is more core, a lot of core,
Yep.
and a lot of plyometrics, I would think. While the other one is more agility and more uh, aerobic capacity you're gonna have to play
Yep.
basketball. So in a way, it complemented each other. So it made you a better player from both, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I always thought that growing up too. I wanted to play every sport I could. I wanted to try everything. Now you don't see that. I think everyone picks one and they're gonna go as hard as they can at that. And I think that it makes it tough. Yeah, you should be using different muscles and trying different things. And I see that with my kids now. I mean, two of my kids swim, play lacrosse, play volleyball, play basketball. The youngest is doing tennis, like I said, and I want them to experience all of that.
Today, you don't specialize. I don't think you have a chance.
Yeah, no, I know. No, you're exactly right. I mean, I think by the time you get, eighth, ninth grade, you have to have a plan
Yeah.
and you have to be able to be committed to that and, being the best in your craft.
I
So
mean,
to,
even earlier than that, I think we have students here that play soccer, they play volleyball, but that's all they do, and they've been doing it since they're 6, 7 years old. So sure,
Yeah,
when they compete against the other peers that are playing different sports, the difference is huge.
yeah, it
It's
is.
different today. It's different than before. I think today it's more specialization, like you're saying. They pick one sport
yeah.
and they go
Right.
through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking about specialization, so what sports do you think they'll end up picking?
I don't, I don't know. I want them to pick it. They're around volleyball all the time and they love it.
Uh,
Um, But I if they're passionate about something else, I'm on board with it. As long
Yeah.
as they're involved in something, they have to do something. They have to pick something and try it and you know, and be great students. I want them to go to college and I want them to be successful and so but I don't know. I don't know what sport.
Yeah, but
I would say
you bring a good point, about school. I mean, I remember I'm a lot older than you are, but when I went to college, you were a good athlete. You went to any school. But today, you don't have the grades. You can be the best athlete. You don't get anywhere. So
yeah,
that's why education today is so important.
absolutely. And that starts at a young age too, you know, being able to handle your homework and handle your training and do all of it and have some good time management skills. And I think a lot of kids you know, struggle with that at the start, but uh, I'm proud of the way my team handles that. And we have a couple girls that are excellent students. And I mean, they're all really good students, but some of them that want to go into pre-med. And I have
Mm.
one that graduated last year who's going to dental school. And, you know, so they take their work seriously. So it's impressive.
Going back to your kids, going back to your children,
Yep.
coming from a family, high performance athletes, your husband played for the Indianapolis Colts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. He played football.
So you guys are coming from a family that is very good athletes. Even you told me that your father also played football.
Mm-hmm.
Would that put pressure on them to try to be as good as you were? You think that that puts pressure on your kids? Because they didn't mind. Mine didn't want to play any sports because they didn't feel that they could reach, what
Yeah.
I had done.
Yeah. You know, I mean, if it's the pressure, I don't, it's not coming from us. You know, for me, I want them to enjoy it. I think they've gotten to travel with me a few times to other Big Ten schools and get to see what it's like to be on a college team. And I know it's something they'd want to do, but I also talk to them about the work that you have to put in to do it. You know, I tell them the truth and I tell them, you know, these players I have on my team, they've been training really hard and they take it really seriously. And, um, but if they're interested in photography or something else, I'm all for that too. I don't think they have to play sports if they don't want to. But like I said, I want them involved in something where they can be a part of a group.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
That's I think most parents should think that way because I see some parents that really push
Yeah,
them and other parents that they don't really care. It's
right.
like it's not middle. Now, in you played until 2002, right? That was the last year you played in Penn.
I finished '01 was my last season and I
Oh
graduated
man!
in '02. Yep, yep.
And when did you decided to be a coach? What make you take that step?
Well, you know, when I finished, the pro leagues here didn't really exist and going overseas, you know, some people did it, some people didn't. And I ended up volunteering. I went down to University of Illinois and I volunteered. My brother was playing football down there and I wanted to see him play and my baby brother was starting his freshman year there. So I volunteered, I coached, I knew the head coach there, Don Harden, and I just wanted to see what it was like. And then from there, I basically volunteered for one season. I loved it. I moved back to Chicago and I went to grad school at the University of Illinois, Chicago. And I was a grad assistant coach there. I stayed there for a very long time. So I went from like a grad assistant to an assistant to the head coach there. I was a head coach for 8 years and then went to UPenn in Philadelphia in the Ivy League. I coached there for one season and then came back to Penn State. So, you know, I always loved coaching and whether it was younger children or just being in the gym with athletes was always something I really enjoyed. And you know, once I started at UIC, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help and I wanted to help mentor players and let them have a great experience and, you know, want them to enjoy themselves both on and off the court.
To be a coach, I think you have to love it. Because I mean, there are very few coaches that make millions of dollars. If we do it, it's because we love what we do.
Yeah.
Helping and seeing this. The most gratifying thing for me is when I see them making it. when they see
Yeah.
themselves winning. That's to me that's very gratifying. That's what it's all about. Now, as what I the first question I ask the players when they arrive is what is your dream?
Mhm.
And if they're dreaming big, I know we have a chance. If they're dreaming small, I'm thinking maybe not. I know as athletes we always dream big. As a coach, what is your dream?
Yeah. I mean, it's always to win, right? I like winning. I like winning a lot. But for me, I'm just as excited for my player that went and played pro than my player that's going to go to law school. Like, I think it's just being able to be a part of their life and put them in a position to be successful. So it's not always just because they're pro players. I mean, I have several players right now that are playing professionally, but like I said, it's the ones that are, going to dental school or going to law school or going to be a teacher and do those things. I still check in them all the time too and see how they're doing. So I think just to help them find their path and find their passion when I have the time to be with them.
Become champions for life.
Yes.
Not just in the
Yeah.
sport, but become champions on life. That's the key.
Yeah, absolutely right.
That's the key.
Yeah,
And
life is short, so I want them to be successful and do what they want to do.
in the 2022, Ross Rose, he decided to retire. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the players applied to be in the portal,
Hmm.
to switch schools basically and you were able to keep most of them.
Hmm.
How do you do that? How what magic? What do you use for them to believe in you and they say, okay, we're gonna stay? Because I mean, he has done so well. Had won 7 championships. He was like a superstar, and here they
Yeah.
are starting basically from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, part of it is, I wanted players that wanted to be here at Penn State. And, I think this university is a really special place and the players are treated really well and obviously the legacy is huge and so there are players that wanted to continue that and wanted to separate themselves and be the best they can and I think we did a great job recruiting. So the players that left, they went on, some of them they had graduated and so they went on to a different school to get a master's degree and have a totally different experience and it was just the way it worked. But we got some players that were super prideful to be a part of Penn State and wanted to be successful here. And, we were really, I thought we worked them hard and we did some special things. But again, Penn State is a phenomenal school and, the volleyball tradition will continue. I knew that would happen. I knew I would keep it on track, but, it was hard. It was hard to recruit. It was hard to, get players to mesh the right way. And, I thought myself and my staff did a really good job of getting the right players here. And, they have to put the time in when they get here. You don't just snap your fingers and you're here and you're winning. It's you got to put the effort and the time in and they were really dedicated. We had a couple leaders that were really dedicated to making sure everyone was doing the right thing.
There's still a lot of uh, communication or a lot of, in a way, controversy about the transfer portal. You know, how do you feel about it? How do you feel from the point of view of the coaches? How do you feel from the point of view of the athlete?
I have mixed feelings on it because, back in the day when it was really hard, you maybe thought about leaving, but no one really transferred. Now it's, in our sport, players are graduating a little bit earlier because they're coming in the summer. So,
You know what I'm talking about, no?
uh, what's up?
I'm much listening to you.
Yeah. Oh no, no. I was just saying players they're graduating a little bit earlier. So for them to go somewhere else and get a master's degree, I think that's okay. Like so that's why they're transferring. Um, and some players, I think they have different expectations. Maybe they were told you're going to come here and you're going to be a starter. Like I never do that. You're going to come here and you're going to compete.
You're gonna
So
earn it.
yeah. And you know what? I mean, I have to like the transfer portal because we've gotten several players from there when I first started. So, it gives players an opportunity. Maybe they committed too early and didn't do their research on the school, or maybe there was a coaching change, and there's a whole bunch of different reasons, but um, I think we've done a good job with it. And I never want players to leave my program, but obviously with graduation and having different, I have a player right now that's graduating in May, and she's going to go and try and play beach. And I'm totally supportive of that. It's been a dream of hers to do that, and so I'm excited for her.
Katie, the NIL, it's been so interesting, all the developments around it. What is your experience with that?
I mean, yeah, I think it's a mess, to be honest with you. I think it started really fast and furious, and now they're trying to make different rules and things like that. But I think it's amazing that these student athletes are able to have the opportunity to make some money when they're in college. I mean, I would have loved that.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but I think to build your own brand and to be a part of organizations that you want to support and help and to make money off of that, I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing. I think as long as it doesn't interfere with what we're trying to do, and
Yeah.
I always stress to our players when it's our practice time or our lift time, that's your focus. It's not everything else that's going on. So, but I think to be able to make some money in college, I'm not mad about that for these guys. I think it's actually it's pretty neat.
It's
Um,
fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I think it's great. And as athletes, we work so hard, not only on the sport, but also our image. Um,
right.
so with this new NIL, it's great. A lot of athletes can take advantage of that in a good way. Um, how important do you believe is image, especially now with the NIL?
Yeah, I think our university, our athletic department is doing a really good job of helping these athletes with those type of things.
Mm.
Um, but also, hey, you're getting paid, you have to pay taxes on that now. And I think a lot of people don't know that. Like, so they're doing classes here, and they're helping them understand that if someone's going to pay you a couple $1,000s, you have to pay taxes, and they're growing up really fast in that world, and having to
Welcome to
take
the
care of
real
them.
world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I think there's all these, we have all these tools here, and people that, people are getting hired at our university just to help with that stuff. And so our athletes are pretty fortunate to be able to have that experience and exposure.
Yeah. That's great that you have that support.
Yeah.
I have a question there. When you won the championships, you had a girl, the setter, which is basically for people that don't know volleyball, is that the quarterback is the most important
Yeah.
player in your team, is the one that has to touch the ball at least twice. I mean, the second place usually to her, but she
Yep.
was a freshman.
Yep.
How do you get her? Actually, both of them were freshmen, if I'm not mistaken. The girl from the other team was also a freshman. The setter from the other team,
Uh,
because she was
yeah,
from
one of them
Orlando.
was. Yeah, one of them was. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and the two of them from Florida, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, how do you prepare her for that such an important game, especially in the finals?
Well, Izzy came here spring semester, so she came a little bit early. So she was here to train before the fall season, which I think really helped her. So she was here training all spring, and yeah, she was still a freshman, but she worked really hard, and she was confident in her skills. And she was surrounded by a lot of seniors that were like, "Hey, you can do this. You got this." And yeah, she's a fierce competitor. Like I never worried about her. I'll tell you that. As a freshman, I was really impressed, but it comes from her work ethic.
What did you see in her? Was it that no fear factor was the most important thing for you, the no fear, or what do you see in her? What in the talent part?
Well, I mean, the talent part, I mean, she's really physical. I mean, there's not many
Mm.
setters she's about 6'1". She's really strong. She can set from one side of the court to the other. But no, I mean, she understands the game. She studies the game, and she asks a lot of questions, and um she's all volleyball. All she wants to do is play volleyball, and be the best she can. And she's also one of the ones that wants to go into pre-med and is taking really hard courses. And she'll be the first to tell you she studies and plays volleyball. That's all she does. So,
A champion.
The life of an
yeah,
athlete.
Yeah.
yeah, she's committed.
Katie, when did you find out that you had cancer?
I found out during preseason. It was in like September. So we had had a couple preseason tournaments already, and it was in September. So it's been pretty much all season. So September, and then I started chemo in October. So
Wow.
How did the team rally around you?
I mean, they were amazing. They were so supportive and knew what was going on all the time. And um, I mean, they were concerned. I think they worried a lot about me, but I didn't miss a whole lot, so I was always here. But they were great. They were great. I mean, I think they stepped it up in practice and they knew the expectations were high, but it was a amazing team and that they truly cared so much about one another and they had some really, really big goals at the beginning of the season and I was just so happy for this senior group that they were able to achieve all their goals. But yeah, they were so supportive of me. I mean, they check in on me all the time and um, I think they knew when I wasn't feeling well and so they were better in practice. So, it kind of helped them a little bit, but
Mm.
no, I mean the support I've had from the team, my staff, the community here, and just the whole volleyball world and people in sports. It's been overwhelming for me, but I feel loved and I feel all the support.
I bet you they had double motivation,
Yeah.
doing it for them and
Yeah,
doing it for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, they did. They did. They were it was a special group for sure.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And even in those times, you still stayed with your dream and you won the championships. That is really,
Yeah.
The
Yeah, it was
mentality of a champion.
yeah.
yeah. I had to keep
Yes.
going, I had to keep going and I'm big on being on a schedule and doing what I should be doing. So it was a wild ride.
Talking about schedule, I'm sure it sounds like you believe in routines and tight schedules, the way you said it.
Yeah, no, I mean hey, the team's here working out. I gotta show up. I gotta be here, I need to do that. And so for me it was a no-brainer just to keep moving and doing what I can.
What I see, it's a beautiful interview just to learn so much about you, the way you think, your mentality, the connection that you have with your athletes, which is, to me, is imperative to be able to be a good coach. Now, I know you have more dreams coming up. What would be the biggest dream that you have? The biggest of all
Yeah,
in your sport?
man, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's right now, it's just getting healthy. I want to be done with this and be healthy. And, I mean, my dreams, just to have the best success I can with every team I have. Every team is different. And so I think it's finding what makes that group work and getting to know everyone's personalities and getting them on the same page. But I think it'd be pretty cool to, win the Big Ten again and win another national championship, but because it's hard to win. And um, you know, my goal is always just to have the best team I can
No,
and
goal
to
and dreams. Goal and dreams are different. I'm talking about dream. Would you like to dream, for example, to coach the American team?
well, I
Come
mean,
on, come on, come on.
for sure. I mean, I would love to be able to help out with the USA team, and that's something that, um, I'd love to be a part of that at some point. Um, but I'm happy where I'm at. I love college volleyball. Um, but there's a lot of professional volleyball now here in the States. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say my dream is to leave here to coach a professional team. I love it here. Um, but to be a part of USA Volleyball and to continue the great tradition that USA Volleyball has, of course, I would love to be able to help with that. So that
Yeah.
could be it. Yeah.
battling cancer, you've been really an inspiration to a lot of women. What message can you give to those women that are battling also?
Um, just to keep going. That, I've been fortunate that a lot of people have come before me that have had this, and they have been the ones that have advanced the medicine, and that has made it maybe a little bit easier for cancer patients now. But just to stay strong and to know that it will pass, and that a lot of people are caring about you.
Thank you for sharing that. And then the coaching world has been dominated by a lot of men, and you have just shown them that you won the championship. What an example. What advice can you give to other female coaches that want to make it big?
That you can do it. I think, everyone's so concerned if you can have a family and if you can coach and if you can do this. And I think if you surround yourself with the right people, and you have, a great support, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do this without my husband for sure. I mean, he doesn't coach, and he's able to be home and be where he has to be with the kids. And right now my mom's living with us as I'm going through this cancer, and she's there to help. So I think, if you don't have a great support system, it's really hard to do. But, I would love to see younger females get involved and want to coach and continue and know that you can do it at the highest level. You really can, and you just have to, find your own way, but be around some great people.
That's interesting about what you said about being surrounded by the right people.
A team. It
Yeah.
takes a team to make a champion.
Gabe, you always talk
Yeah.
about the importance of environment and the team
Yeah,
around you. Yeah.
But I think it
absolutely.
takes three things like any champion. It takes a big dream because you have to dream big. You have to work hard because there's no substitution for working hard. But I think
Right.
the most important is perseverance.
Mm.
I think perseverance is the most important, especially for people that want to succeed and maybe they don't find the easy way because there's not an easy way to succeed.
Right.
I mean, like for you, for example, if I look at you, it's a matter of, talking to you is working hard, perseverance. You can see that determination that you have. When you talk with a lot of, you believe in yourself, you believe in what you say, and you believe in what you do. And I think that's what people need to get out of, people like you. You are
Oh,
a
thank
beacon
you.
for a lot of females.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you. I
Yes.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations on all the great accomplishment and good luck. I'm sure many great things to come to follow.
Thank, thank you. It's great talking to you guys. I appreciate that.